Africa's two fastest men, and it is Akani Simbine who takes the honours ahead of Omanyala. 9:92 unofficially. Simbine translates his global medal-winning form indoors straight to the outdoors and goes top of the world list for 2025. Only the second man to break 10 this year.
What happens when an athlete defies the laws of physics? When a sprinter not only breaks the 10-second barrier, but demolishes it into a headwind? Ladies and gentlemen, the track world has been turned upside down, and we're only in April. 9.90 seconds, negative 1.4 meters per second headwind. Akani Simbine has just changed everything about the 2025 sprint season. Imagine running so fast that even Mother Nature can't slow you down. That's exactly what happened in Gaborone, Botswana last weekend when South Africa's Akani Simbine dropped a performance that has track experts recalculating their entire predictions for 2025. The scene was Botswana's national stadium, the Golden Grand Prix, a Continental Tour Gold event packed with talent, but no one expected what was about to unfold. When the gun fired, Kenya's Ferdinand Omanyala, the African record holder at 9.77, exploded from the blocks like a man possessed. For the first 60 meters, it looked like Omanyala's race to lose. The Kenyan has dominated Simbine in their past matchups, and his lightning start had the crowd convinced history would repeat itself. But then something extraordinary happened. As if possessed by the spirits of sprint legends past, the 31-year-old Simbine began to surge. With each powerful stride, he closed the gap. At 70 meters, they were even. By 80 meters, Simbine had taken control. And in the final 10 meters, complete and utter domination. When Simbine crossed the line a full body length ahead of Omanyala, the clock froze at 9.90 seconds, the fastest time in the world this year by a significant margin. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. The headwind that couldn't stop him. While Simbine was blazing down the track, he wasn't getting any help from Mother Nature. In fact, quite the opposite. A stiff minus 1.4 meters per second headwind was pushing against him the entire way. Let that sink in for a moment. Most sub-10 performances come with either neutral conditions or a helpful tailwind. Simbine wasn't just fighting the world's best sprinters, he was battling the elements too. And winning. What does this mean in real terms? Wind conversion calculators suggest that in neutral conditions, this run would translate to approximately 9.82 seconds. And if he had the maximum legal tailwind of plus 2.0 meters per second, we're talking about a potential 9.74, a time that would place him among the greatest sprinters who have ever lived. All of this in April. April! When most elite sprinters are still in heavy training and nowhere near peak form. For close to a decade, Akani Simbine has been the nearly man of global sprinting. Always in the final, always competitive, but agonizingly close to that career-defining medal or moment. The heartbreak reached its peak at the 2024 Paris Olympics, where Simbine finished fourth by just 0.01 seconds in what many experts called the deepest 100-meter final in Olympic history. 1/100th of a second away from Olympic bronze, the kind of margin that haunts an athlete's dreams. But 2025 has already become Simbine's redemption tour. It started in Nanjing, China, where he finally secured his first individual global medal, bronze in the 60 meters at the World Indoor Championships. That taste of international hardware may have been the psychological breakthrough he needed. Now, with this 9.90 into a headwind, Simbine isn't just knocking on the door of greatness, he's kicked it clean off its hinges. To understand just how rare Simbine's April performance is, consider this. In the entire history of 100-meter sprinting, only two men have ever run faster in the month of April. Ada Bolden clocked 9.86 in April 1998, going on to win Commonwealth gold that year. Trayvon Bromell posted 9.88 in April 2021, before ultimately running 9.76 later that season to cement his place in the top 10 all-time. Elite company doesn't begin to describe it, and both of those historic April runs had much more favorable wind conditions than Simbine's headwind-defying blast. This changes everything for 2025. The sprint world just got put on notice. The established hierarchy has been shattered. The road to Tokyo 2025 and the World Championships just got significantly more interesting. What does this mean for the rest of the season? First, it means the 100-meter podium at the World Championships is wide open. Simbine has proven he has the physical tools to not just compete for medals, but potentially win gold after a decade of near misses. Could this finally be his year? Second, it means the 9.8-second barrier is under serious threat. With Simbine already at 9.90 into a headwind in April, who knows what he might produce with favorable conditions at his peak? Could we see the first legal sub 9.8 performance in years? Third, it means relay excitement. South Africa's 4x100-meter team, already Olympic silver medalists, now has a legitimate anchor who can challenge any team in the world. With young talent like Retchidisitswe Mlenga, 10.15, and Abdurrahman Karyem, 10.07 PB in the B race, also showing impressive early season form, South Africa could become the team to beat. And speaking of relay dominance, across the ocean at the 44 Farms Team Invite in Texas, USC unleashed its own sprint arsenal that has NCAA fans buzzing. In a single race, 3 USC Trojans all broke the 10-second barrier. Max Thomas, 9.92. Garrett Coland, 9.93. Eddie Nkesha, 9.96. Add in teammates Travis Williams, 10.07, and J.C. Stevenson, 10.13, and you have 5 men from the same school all capable of running 10.13 or faster. For context, that's 5 sprinters from one program who would all make most Olympic finals. The depth is staggering, and it suggests USC might produce one of the fastest collegiate 4x100-meter relays in history this season. Who takes the crown in Tokyo? With Simbine firing this early, the question becomes, can he maintain this form through September for the World Championships in Tokyo? Simbine's history shows he peaks perfectly for championships, but can he sustain this otherworldly form until Tokyo in September? That's the million-dollar question. Will 2025 finally see Simbine crowned world champion? Can USC's collegiate superstars translate their early brilliance to the global stage? Or is another sprint sensation waiting to explode onto the scene? The only certainty is that the 100 meters landscape has been completely transformed. Records that seemed untouchable now look vulnerable. And it all began on that windswept Botswana track where a 31-year-old South African veteran said, "Enough" to being the nearly man. 9.90 seconds. Headwind. April. This changes everything. Will Simbine claim gold in Tokyo? What's your prediction for 2025's fastest time? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more explosive track analysis all season.
Most unguardable player in the country. She has come alive here again in the third.
Patiently reading the defense. Beckers gets it back, will pop, and hit from Tacoma.
Caitlin Clark's meteoric WNBA rise just forced Paige Buchers into a decision that will forever alter women's basketball. With millions watching, the battle for the sport's future has begun. Paige Buchers, the UConn phenom, is poised to become the number one pick in tonight's WNBA draft, fresh off leading her Huskies to a national championship just 8 days ago. Buchers averaged 19.9 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 4.9 assists per game in her senior season, with a massive 53.4% field goal accuracy. She's not just a player, she's a movement, hailed as a once-in-a-generation talent. But across the league, another name looms large, Caitlin Clark. The 2024 number 1 pick for the Indiana Fever, Clark rewrote the record books at Iowa, becoming the NCAA's all-time leading scorer with 3,951 points. Her rookie season turned heads, boosting Fever attendance by 30% and merchandise sales by nearly 50% all. Yet her WNBA salary, a modest $76,535. A stark reminder of the financial hurdles even the brightest stars face. So, what's the clash? It's not about points or rebounds, it's about money, opportunity, and a bold new league threatening to steal the spotlight.
Knowing that the guard, if she comes in to shoot it, is not going to be able to get it over her reach. They're top 5 in the country in field goal percentage defense. There's another takeaway and a foul called. And that's the length of Paige Buchers.
Hours before the WNBA draft, Paige Buchers signed a 3-year deal with Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 basketball league founded by Olympians Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. In just one 10-week unrivaled season, Beckers will earn more than the entire 4-year WNBA rookie contract of $350,000 she'd get as the top pick. Why does this matter? The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement sets a first-year salary for the number. One pick at just $78,831. Unrivaled, by contrast, boasts an average player salary of $222,222, with Bucher's deal reportedly dwarfing that. As Andrews put it, Buechers is setting herself up for a larger payday once the WNBA season ends. But this isn't just about cash. Unrivaled offers something the WNBA can't yet match, a domestic off-season league that keeps players in the U.S., sparing them the grueling overseas stints many endure to supplement their income. Since the WNBA's inception in 1997, stars have flocked to Europe or Asia for extra paychecks. Unrivaled, played in Miami over 8 to 10 weeks, is changing the game.
As a pro basketball player, strongly encourage folks to check it out. Some Gino Auriemma shade in there, but all in good fun. But Nafisa's journey just flung it up there in the nick of time, but missed it. Push pass by Williams to Austin. Their chemistry off the floor, amazing.
Now let's discuss Caitlin Clark. When she entered the WNBA in 2024, she didn't just bring her scoring prowess, she brought eyes. Her presence forced the league to confront its pay gap head-on. Clark's influence didn't stop there. Her success amplified calls for better salaries and investment, paving the way for unrivaled rise. But here's where it stings for Buechers. Clark's spotlight made Unrivaled a viable option, tempting top talents like Buechers to diversify their careers. Buechers, who once dreamed of dominating the WNBA outright, now faces a dilemma. By joining Unrivaled, she's hedging her bets, but she's also splitting her focus. Could this move dilute her WNBA legacy before it even begins? This story isn't just about two players. It's about the future of women's basketball. Unrivaled's debut season in January 2025 was a hit, averaging 313,000 viewers for its opening game, outpacing most WNBA cable broadcasts per Sports Media Watch. Its second game drew 311,000, making it the most-watched women's basketball event on TNT Sports at the time. But the WNBA isn't standing still. The league inked a $2.2 billion media deal in 2024, and viewership is up 20% since 2023. Still, players like Buechers and Clark highlight a persistent gap. The NBA's top draft pick in 2024 earned $10.5 million in year one, over 130 times the WNBA's equivalent. Voices are rising. WNBA Players Association President Nneka Ogwumike said, "Our stars are global brands, but our contracts don't reflect that yet. What's at stake?" If Unrivaled keeps luring stars, it could siphon talent and attention from the WNBA. But if the WNBA steps up its game, both leagues could coexist, pushing women's basketball to new heights. The question is, can they find balance before the divide grows? Behind the headlines, Buechers and Clark are more than stats. They're young women navigating fame, pressure, and choices. Buechers' farewell to UConn went viral, with a teammate tearfully saying, "I didn't need to see this." Clark, meanwhile, faced scrutiny for everything from her endorsements to her off-court style. Their decisions ripple beyond themselves. Young fans watching see role models challenging norms, demanding fair pay, and redefining success. But it's not all rosy. The grind of dual leagues could strain players physically and mentally. So, where does this leave us? Tonight, Paige Buechers will likely walk across the WNBA draft stage, claimed by the Dallas Wings, ready to build on Caitlin Clark's momentum. But her unrivaled deal signals a new era, one where players wield more power and leagues compete for their loyalty. He wrote ahead is uncertain, but undeniably thrilling. As the landscape of women's basketball shifts beneath our feet, a new chapter is being written, not just by leagues or franchises, but by the players themselves. The rise of Unrivaled presents a pivotal moment. Will this bold new league propel women's basketball into an unprecedented era of exposure, opportunity, and empowerment? Or will it unintentionally compete with the WNBA's momentum, pulling attention and talent away from a league that's finally gaining long overdue recognition? These questions don't have easy answers. But one thing is crystal clear. Caitlin Clark and Paige Buchers aren't just participating in this revolution, they're leading it. They're not only breaking records on the court, they're breaking barriers off it. Their influence stretches beyond buzzer beaters and highlight reels. They're challenging the status quo, redefining what it means to be a female athlete in the modern age. With every pass, every shot, every signature moment, they're rewriting the rules of the game. And as fans, we're not just watching basketball anymore. We're witnessing history unfold, one bold move at a time, one fearless step toward a future where women's sports are no longer seen as an afterthought, but as the main event. What's your take? Should players like Buchers prioritize the WNBA or embrace new ventures like Unrivaled? Drop your thoughts below and stay tuned for more updates on this evolving story.
I would say so, as Caitlin Clark and Flau'jae Johnson have a little fun. I think Flau'jae was going on her Instagram Live there.
I believe so.
Yeah. And Caitlin going over to Sophie Cunningham saying, "I'm sorry I didn't hit a bomb for you."
WNBA rookie Caitlin Clark made a surprising 10-word statement about UConn star Paige Buchers, sparking excitement as Buchers reportedly plans to declare for the 2025 WNBA draft. "She's always been able to go up against the best," Clark said about Buchers, a statement that carries immense weight coming from the player who shattered NCAA scoring records and transformed the landscape of women's basketball. Is to be selected first overall in the upcoming draft, following the same path Clark blazed just 1 year ago. This public praise from Clark directly addresses a concern that has reportedly haunted Buchers for years: the fear of being overshadowed and forgotten amid the explosive rise of other stars in women's basketball. Despite being one of the most electrifying talents in the college game and the only player across the NBA, WNBA, and college basketball with a 50-40-90 shooting split this season, Buchers hasn't generated the same media frenzy that surrounded Clark during her final season at Iowa. The timing of Clark's comments is particularly significant as they come while Buchers is leading UConn on a dominant NCAA tournament run. The 23-year-old guard just delivered a career-high 40-point performance in the Huskies' 82-59 Elite Eight victory over Oklahoma, further cementing her status as one of the game's elite players. Yet even with these extraordinary achievements, the spotlight hasn't shone as brightly on Buchers as it did on Clark last year. Part of this difference might come from Buchers' strong support for more media coverage of black women in sports. When she won College Athlete of the Year at the 2021 ESPYs, Buchers used her platform to talk about how black women athletes don't get enough attention. She said, "With the spotlight I have now as a white woman leading a black-led sport, I want to highlight black women. They don't get the media coverage they deserve. Their value is clear."
Media coverage is important for the game. I think it grows the game. I know freshman year I was like the media darling. Everybody was like focused on me and what I did at UConn my freshman year, but I think it's more important for the game to share the spotlight, to grow the game and show all the stars of college basketball and not just focus on one particular player, whether it be me, Caitlin, Juju, Angel. I mean, there's so many names in college basketball now that are huge, that are stars, that deserve credit, and I think it's not my job, but the media can do a better job of just making sure everybody gets love.
This courageous stance appears to have altered how certain audiences viewed her. As former NBA player Eaton Thomas noted in The Guardian, while Black America cheered Buchers, mainstream white America, a demographic that once saw her as a media darling, wasn't as loud about her anymore. By publicly championing Buchers' talent and resilience, Clark is effectively extending a hand across this divide and acknowledging her peers' extraordinary abilities. Clark's admiration for Buchers runs deeper than just her on-court skills. Her game is just so smooth, she's fun to watch, she moves effortlessly out there like it's just so natural, Clark elaborated. Then she additionally works really hard at it. Paige has always been one of the most dominant players. That has never changed. What makes Clark's praise particularly meaningful is her acknowledgement of Buchers' journey through adversity. After suffering a torn ACL that wiped out her entire 2022-23 season, many questioned whether Buchers would ever return to her pre-injury form. Clark directly addressed this challenge. The coolest thing about Paige is how resilient she is. Obviously, she's kind of been dealt a tough hand. The way she carries herself on and off the court, the way she works hard.
Like Hannah said, like Gabby Marshall just comes up with big defensive plays all the time. Like you see it time and time again for us, and she doesn't get enough credit for what she does. She guards one of the best players in the country, and really, challenges her quite a bit. Paige had a great game. I thought Gabby just played great defense on her, even when Paige made some tough baskets. Gabby just responded and kept going up there and guarding her. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm proud of our group for just being able to flip the page and move on to the next play.